Have you ever stopped to wonder if you're truly living the life you want, or are you just letting time slip by, day after day, without feeling in control or clear about where you're headed? Many of us at some point feel that nagging emptiness, like something's missing, and it stings. It's that feeling that we're wasting our potential, our chances at real happiness and fulfillment. But what if I told you there's a way to change that? That it's possible to break free from this cycle, find real purpose, and finally live a life that feels meaningful. In this video, I'll show you the steps you can take to stop wasting precious moments and build a life worth living. Let's dive in and discover how to turn your present around and create a future that truly inspires you. So, for a big chunk of my life, I felt kinda lost, you know? Like this weird mix of exhaustion and confusion. It was like everyone around me seemed to know exactly what they were doing, but I was just floating. Imagine just being swept along by life, like a leaf in the wind, making choices without a real reason, just sorta there, without any clear direction. I bet some of you might feel like this right now too. Maybe you're kinda going through life on autopilot, doing what feels like the next thing, without thinking why. And hey, that's okay. It's super common. A lot of people don't even realize it's happening until, well, something wakes them up. In this video, I want to show you 2 simple things you can start doing to break free from this matrix of sorts, to start seeing life from a new angle. And when I say new angle, I'm talking about a holistic view, not the blah blah kind of holistic where people just throw the word around to sound deep. No, I mean literally seeing the whole picture, not just this tiny piece we tend to get zoomed in on. Like, imagine life as this massive landscape, but all you're seeing is one little close-up shot and thinking that's the entire world. I remember feeling this way through high school and honestly halfway through college. Then little by little, I started doing things that opened up my world, that gave me a wider view of life. I started making decisions with a purpose, each step moving me towards something I actually wanted, not just stumbling along. Once I got this new perspective, I realized that looking at life differently lets you take a different path and make better choices, you know? And that was a game changer for me. Suddenly, I had this clarity about what mattered, and I could actually choose where I was going. If you're enjoying this content and want to see more like it, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And hey, if you're able to, consider becoming a member. It's a huge help for us to keep bringing you this kind of content. Don't forget to drop a comment below too. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I respond to every single one. Thanks for being here with us. The first thing I noticed was that my mind was stuck in this kind of mental obesity. You know what I mean? I wasn't getting different perspectives or ideas. I was just copying what I saw around me. And honestly, that left me feeling kinda empty. So what did I do? I went straight to what a lot of college kids do. I ended up at the bar, drinking and smoking way too much. That became my whole scene, hanging out in bars, getting lost in that lifestyle. I got to know some things there, but the rest of the world, it felt distant, like I was in a bubble. I grew up in a small town, and let me tell you, that bar culture, it's huge in places like that. Maybe some of you get it. If you're from a small town, you know the vibe. Get through the week, and then the weekend is all about getting wasted at the local spot. That was life for me. Drunk weekends, chasing random hookups and finding any excuse for a party. I had no idea there was anything else beyond that zoomed-in view. Everyone older around me was doing the same thing, so I just thought, well, this must be it, right? Then came the big shift. I started connecting with people online. Yeah, the internet can be an amazing tool if you use it right. Platforms like YouTube and Instagram, they can seriously change the game. If you're smart about it, training the algorithm to send you helpful content, you can surround yourself with incredible people who can actually guide you. I started finding creators who shared about routines and fitness, and I got hooked on it. I remember following all these bodybuilding and running channels, just watching them talk about health, habits, and what life could look like if I started caring about what I was doing. Gradually, those videos helped me realize Maybe there was more to life than bar hopping and numbing out. They gave me that spark to start seeing things, like drinking and partying, completely differently. And that's the first step I took, one that I think could be a game changer for you too. Let's keep going, and I'll tell you the other one. So let's talk about this first major shift I made, one that totally upgraded my life. I started putting my routine first. Now don't get me wrong, it wasn't some instant magical fix. At first, it felt really challenging to say no to late nights out, turning down all-nighters with friends just to stay on top of my study and reading routine. I even got into training during that time, trying to build some structure, something I'd never really had before. And yeah, I know, this might sound super basic. You might be thinking, all right, a routine. Big deal, right? But here's the thing, once you actually establish a routine, your whole body adjusts to it. That's your circadian rhythm working its magic, and it does wonders for your sleep. And when you start sleeping better, you unlock what's called keystone habits. This means you start naturally doing other things better and you feel less impulsive. It's like your brain's command center, the prefrontal cortex, is now actually in charge. Building this routine gave me better sleep, which reduced my impulsivity and boosted my focus. That mental fog I used to feel, like this heavy weight pressing down on my mind, just started lifting. I could actually see things clearly, and I had more of those aha moments, like little sparks of insight that helped me connect the dots. Slowly, I started seeing life as this big connected picture, instead of a bunch of random events. And yeah, it might sound simple, but sometimes these small things can solve most of life's problems. It's kind of like Pareto's principle, you know? That idea that changing just 20% of the right things can improve 80% of your life. That's what fixing my sleep and routine did for me. Then came the next big step. Once I was in a routine, something amazing happened. I actually started wanting to study more. The motivation grew naturally, and I began to understand just how crucial studying was for my life. It wasn't about cramming facts or getting good grades. It was like each new thing I learned was opening up this whole new world in my mind, giving me options I didn't know existed. A perfect example. When I learned about the effects of exercise on the brain and body, suddenly I felt motivated to work out. Back when my mind was all foggy, it was like walking down a hallway where the exercise door didn't even exist. It was just a wall. I couldn't even see it. Why? Because I didn't have the knowledge, and I wasn't surrounded by people or an environment that encouraged it. But once I knew more, it was like, oh, there's a door here, I can actually go through it. So that's the second big shift. Starting with something as simple as a routine opened up my mind and got me on this path to study, to grow, and to see new possibilities. And I really think if you give it a shot, it could do the same for you. All right, so we've reached the end of our journey today. I hope these insights have sparked something in you, something that helps you see life from a bigger, clearer perspective and inspires you to create a routine that'll support your growth and focus. Remember, taking these steps can really make all the difference in living a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling. Thank you so much for sticking with me until the end. If you found value here, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to share this video with someone who could use these insights too. Also, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. I read and respond to each one, so let's keep this conversation going. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.